Celebrating a wonderful event like today's 125th anniversary calls for a very special guest speaker, a Kona boy, one that is known and beloved by everyone. It is with great honor that I introduce to you Alan Matsumoto. Nah, just kidding. I always wanted to do that. He's always the second son, right? It is with great honor that I introduce to you Bishop Eric Matsumoto. We at Kona Hongwanji join his late father, Glenn Matsumoto, his mother, Anne Matsumoto, and his brother, Alan, in proudly proclaiming that Bishop Matsumoto was born and raised right here in Kona. Strongly influenced by his religious grandmother, he spent a great deal of his youth attending services at this very temple and being a very active member of the Junior YBA organization. Bishop Matsumoto attended Honanao Elementary School and graduated from Konawana High School in 1977. He served as senior class president and was a member of the National Honor Society and both High School Concert Band and Huli He'e Palace Band. He obtained his bachelor's degree from the University of Hawaii at Hilo in 1983, where he majored in history and liberal studies and excelled in the study of Japanese language and culture. In 1988, he received his Tokudo ordination. In 1991, Bishop Matsumoto graduated from Ryukoku University Graduate School in Kyoto, Japan, with a master's degree in Shin Buddhist Studies. He also received Kyoshi that year. During this time in Japan, Bishop Matsumoto was the recipient of several distinguished awards as well as numerous scholarships from the Japan Foundation, University of Hawaii Foundation, and most notably, the Crown Prince Akihito Scholarship with Imperial Audience with Their Majesties, the Crown Prince and Princess in Tokyo, Japan in 1984-85. Bishop Matsumoto was also honored as an outstanding alumni by the University of Hawaii at Hilo in 2013. Bishop Matsumoto's extensive ministerial career thus far is as follows. Associate Minister at Hompa Hongwanji, Hawaii Betsuin for 2 years. 8 years on the Big Island as Minister of Honoka'a, Kamuela, Kohala, and Pauilo Hongwanji Buddhist temples. Resident Minister at Mo'iliili Hongwanji Buddhist Temple in Honolulu for another 9 years. On March 1st, 2011, he assumed the office of Bishop as the 16th Bishop of Hompa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii. Currently, since March 1st, 2019, he is serving his 3rd term as Bishop. Within the Hompa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii and Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji denominations, Bishop Matsumoto has held or is currently serving in numerous ministerial leadership positions on advisory boards, councils, committees, and associations. He is also extensively involved in community and interfaith organizations and events, particularly those functions and programs connected with peace, harmony, goodwill, and the overall betterment of society and our global community. Bishop Matsumoto is frequently invited to attend and or to conduct invocations and benedictions at numerous special events involving dignitaries. Bishop Matsumoto's Buddhist name is Shaku Horaku, meaning disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha, Dharma pleasure. He is married to wife Tamayo and has 2 children, daughter Chika and son Kaden. Please give a warm welcome aloha to Bishop Matsumoto as well as to Tamayo and Kaden who are here today.
Aloha kako. Aloha kako with a bow has become my favorite greeting. I'm sure we're all familiar with aloha and its deep significance. However, did you know that by adding a word, kako, it takes aloha to another whole new level? At first, by just adding a word may not seem like much, but upon closer reflection and if taken seriously, it can make a world of a difference. And that is what I'm sure we'll all agree is what our world today needs more of: more inclusiveness and less dichotomy. Aloha kako has the meaning of aloha to all of us. Kako has the meaning of all, we or us, and is used in a group of 3 or more people. It includes even the person who is saying aloha. It's no longer aloha from me to you, but again, aloha to all of us. More than ever, this feeling of connectedness, togetherness, and oneness is so important as we witness the suffering, the dissension, and the division that our world is facing. In addition, needless to say, there is the importance of being mutually respectful and appreciative of each other. And this is beautifully expressed by the gesture of Anjali or Gasho with a bow. Anjali or Gasho, especially in a religious context, expresses our deepest and highest reverence as when we Gasho to the Buddha. However, from the perspective of the Buddhas and great bodhisattvas, they see in all of us, you and me, the potential to become enlightened, or Buddhas too. Here to me, there is an unparalleled world of equality, which is wisdom at its pinnacle. Further connected to it is an unconditional, unqualified compassion, which includes everyone and everything in its embrace. And in the case of Amida Buddha, including this foolish being, Eric. This compassion is compassion at its ultimate, which doesn't distance itself from anything or anyone and reaches out to especially the one that is most distant from enlightenment. We are all in this process, which will not end until one and all attain supreme nirvana. Truly all-inclusive and all-embracing. This is what we have had the good fortune of encountering and experiencing: a great wisdom and compassion beyond ordinary comprehension, and that which is unending in its quest to bring peace and happiness to all existence, literally all existence. Oh, the joy of being embraced. Naman. Today, as I join you, the Sangha and friends of Kona Hongwanji, on the occasion of this 125th anniversary, a passage from a Chinese Pure Land master, Tao Chou, quoted by Shinran Shonin at the very conclusion of his major writing, The True Teaching, Practice, and Realization of the Pure Land Way, comes to my mind. Quote, "I have collected true words to aid others in their practice for attaining birth in the Pure Land, in order that the process be made continuous, without end and without interruption, by which those who have been born first guide those who come later, and those who are born later join those who were born before. This is so that the boundless ocean of birth and death is exhausted." End quote. For me, this passage today I feel is especially pertinent to the Sangha of Kona Hongwanji. Reflecting on Kona's history, what stands out in my mind is the legacy of the devout people of Nembutsu captured in the book Dharma Treasures, Spiritual Insights from Hawaii's Shin Buddhist Pioneers by Reverend Muneto, including the exemplary people that Kona has produced, like Judge Masaji Marumoto and Colonel Ellison Onizuka, to name just two. In his book, Dharma Treasures, of which, by the way, I did bring some copies, so if you'd like to purchase one, we have some available. Reverend Muneto captured the inspiring lives of several Kona residents who had experienced deeply the wondrous workings of Amida Buddha's compassion, which transformed their lives. Some are in the time-honored tradition of the Myokonin, or the wondrous, excellent person of our Jodo Shinshu tradition. A Myokonin is a devout follower of Jodo Shinshu who lives a life of total dedication to Amida Buddha, and whose acts and sayings, though they often counter to common sense sometimes, reveal the depth of faith and true humanness. They have an utterly deep understanding of Shin Buddhism. Reverend Muneto, if I may quote him from his book, says, "When the conscious effort of a Nembutsu practitioner to grasp Shinjin faith is dropped by appreciating the work of true compassion, the person begins to walk on the path of unobstructed freedom. Encountering various problems, such as uncertainties in economic conditions or illness and death, the person of Nembutsu becomes aware of anger, greed, and ignorance arising from within. But realizing the true nature of compassion enfolds such a person, no longer will there be confusion or uncertainty. The moment of realizing the defiled self is simultaneously the moment of entrusting the self to true compassion in thoughts, words, and deeds." End quote. It is said that the world-famous D.T. Suzuki, who came to Hawaii in 1949, visited Kona Hongwanji. He was shown the writings of Chiyono Sasaki. He exclaimed, "This is it. This is the life of a Myokonin." Her poem, "As I Am," or Konomama, was quoted by Dr. Suzuki in one of his books. However, there were others too who had a deep understanding, such as, quote, "Joyful brightness, having entrusted everything to Amida, I'm saved just as I am," by Jutaro Oshima. And Kiku Kato's poem, "From far beyond comes the bright glow, illuminating clearly the path of Dharma I walk." And Iwaichi Nakamura, who said, quote, "In the timeless process of birth and death, for the first time, I was made to realize the other power of Amida Buddha. My understanding resulted from listening, but listening is nothing but a little scratch on a precious gem. I trusted my understanding instead of trusting Amida. Until now, I was satisfied with my understanding, but my understanding does not save me. It is Amida who saves me." End quote. I hope you were able to catch the nuance of his words. Again, he said, quote, "But my understanding doesn't save me. It is Amida who saves me." End quote. Remarkable, isn't it? A final poem that I'd like to share from Reverend Muneto's book today is a partial quote of a poem by Ume Hirano entitled "Parental Love." She writes, "In the heart of parents, as immense as this universe, nothing is more cherished than a child. Due to the devotion of parents, the child may become successful and honored like a blossoming flower. And yet, if the grave matter of the afterlife is neglected, the consequence will be indescribable, painful separation. If you truly love your child, teach him or her well about the teaching of the Buddha, attaining birth in the pure land of peace. That is the compassion of parents that forever remains. Thinking about the joy of parents and children, holding their hands again in the pure land with flowers abundant, let us say the Nembutsu in gratitude. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, end quote, she wrote. A person who succeeded in guiding his son to Buddhism was Tamajiro Marumoto, a name that may sound familiar to some of you, who moved to Kona in 1907. Some of you may have heard of the Marumoto store and the Kona Theater, which is associated with them. Tamajiro's son, Masaji, after finishing 6th grade here in Kona, moved back to Honolulu to finish high school and eventually would move on to become one of Hawaii's most noted individuals as Judge Masaji Marumoto, a graduate of Harvard Law School and a judge on the Hawaii Supreme Court. He was the first of so many accomplishments, and he considered himself a Buddhist. He's also credited with coming up with a plan that reorganized the Kona Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii in the mid-1940s. However, another connection the Marumoto family has with Kona is Kona Hongwanji. And now I'd like to address or speak of the other legacy of Kona Hongwanji, which is the physical manifestation of the deep spirituality of the Kona Sangha, and that is the precious and unique Hawaiian sandalwood image of Amida Buddha that stands before us in the altar. The current image was dedicated in 1933 and has been the object of reverence since then. But did you know that there is an older brother of this Amida Buddha? Apparently, what happened was the original block of Hawaiian sandalwood cut from the hills of Kona, sent to Japan to be carved into the Buddha image, at some point developed a crack, as often happens with wood. Thus, another piece of sandalwood was sent to Japan, and that is the current image that stands before us. During Reverend Moneto's tenure here in the 1980s, an inscription was discovered in the back wall of this altar. The inscription notes that Tamajiro Marumoto was president of this temple around 1930. Thanks to Reverend Moneto, who did a lot of research, so many of these matters were discovered. He fortunately also kept in touch with the Marumoto family. The Marumoto family had been protecting the original sandalwood Buddha image for close to 90 years. A few years ago, the daughter of Masaji Marumoto, Claire, contacted Reverend Moneto with a concern that the family might not be able to adequately care for the image as they had up until now. Thus, the Marumoto family donated the Buddha image to Kona Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii headquarters. I, together with Reverend Moneto, were honored to be able to receive the image of the Buddha that had its roots here in Kona. The attempted repair of the crack in the image was very prominent, and to me it kind of took away, distracted from the overall beauty of the statue, and thus I decided to have the temporary filling removed. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic with travel restrictions, the statue is still in Japan. I'd hoped to be able to bring it here today so all of you could see it, but that will have to wait for another day. Of course, Among the other treasures of Kona Hongwanji is the Buddhist flag that Ellison Onizuka took into space. He too valued the Buddha Dharma and shared his Dharma-enriched life with others, especially the children and young people of Hawaii, as I'm sure many of you remember. He gave us hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Today, I'm remembering one of his quotes. Every generation has the obligation to free men's minds for a look at new worlds, to look out from a higher plateau than the last generation. Your vision is not limited by what your eye can see, but what your mind can imagine. Your education, imagination will carry you to places which we won't believe possible. Make your life count, and the world will be a better place because you tried. Indeed, we are so fortunate because so many people from Kona tried. And because they tried, the world became a better place. In this way, Kona Hongwanji has wonderful legacies which cannot be forgotten and need to be transmitted to future generations, not only for the benefit of this temple, but for all Buddhists in general, but even more, the entire community, and maybe even humankind. This temple is the physical manifestation of those legacies, but the true home of the legacies is in our hearts and minds, and how we all live our lives. My sincere wish and hope is that this 125th anniversary will be the precious goeng or opportunity at which the Kona Hongwanji Sangha, with renewed dedication, will make a commitment to continue without interruption, gratefully listening to the Buddha Dharma and joyously share the Dharma with others. Please live the Dharma by taking to heart the words of our present Komonshu, His Eminence Kojin Otani, whose calligraphy piece is also in this temple, in which he says, secure our own entrusting heart to the Dharma, guiding others to the same path. As we cope with the various problems and hardships of the contemporary world, walking together towards realizing a society in which everyone is equally respected, which, as many of us know, is based on the saying of another Pure Land Chinese master, Shan Tao, who said, quote, extremely difficult it is to encounter an age in which a Buddha appears, and difficult indeed for a person to realize the wisdom of Xinjing in Tao true entrusting. To come to hear the Dharma rarely met with is again, among all things, most difficult. To realize Xinjing and Tao true entrusting oneself and to guide others to it is among difficult things, yet even more difficult. To awaken beings everywhere to great compassion is truly to respond in gratitude to the Buddha's benevolence. At this time, I'd like to gratefully thank Reverend Muneto for much of what I have shared today, and also on a personal note, for helping me in especially my early years of searching for the Buddha Dharma too. To conclude, as I offer my congratulations and also express my gratitude to you, the Kona Sangha, not only as the bishop, but as a fellow person of Nembutsu that was also nurtured by you and Amida Buddha, let us continue to, as Shinran Shonin said, quote, praise Amida Buddha's wisdom and virtue, so that beings with mature conditions throughout the 10 quarters may hear. Let those who have realized Xinjing constantly respond in gratitude to the Buddha's benevolence. If you would please join me, I'd like to, together with all of you, recite the Buddha's honored name that I recite in gratitude to Namo Amida Butsu, the Buddha's name, which calls us to entrust. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Entrusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Namanda.